Hey, welcome, everyone. Welcome back to All Things Fitness. This is your boy, Roland Cross, a.k.a. Cross the Christian Cyclist. And we have another episode, another exciting episode, one that we know you're going to be blessed by, inspired by, and encouraged by. We have a good friend, Greg Beene, a.k.a. G. Beene, as the cycling community calls him Beene. This young man has a phenomenal story. An inspiring story, and he's going to talk about his trauma that he has overcome. And I got to tell you, his story inspired me, as I know it will inspire others. And I'm just completely impressed by you, man of God. I am. I'm impressed by your confidence, your willingness to move forward. And more importantly, I'm impressed by the fact that you refuse to be marginalized. So, hey, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No problem. So we just going to flow with this, man. And let's talk about first, let's share what the trauma, what was your trauma? Tell the audience what the trauma was.
My trauma was I had a motorcycle accident where I ended up losing a limb.
You lost a limb, and
yeah.
And how we came to know each other is because you're a cyclist.
Correct.
All right, and when I say, ladies and gentlemen, when I say he's a cyclist, I'm not just talking about someone that just casually ride a bike up and down the neighborhood. I mean, this man rides a bike. You ride hard. You ride fast. And that's exceptional, because even in the cycling community of those who ride with me, there are many that can't keep up with you. And we talking about you riding with one leg, and these, most people cycling with two, and they can't keep up with you. So I want to talk about how we got here for you to be such a strong cyclist. And I want to talk about before your trauma, before you lost your leg, what was life like for Beene? So let's just go back to before the trauma. What was life like for you?
I was an athlete. Come from Olympic wrestler. My father was a phenomenal wrestler. I grew up not as good as him, but one of the best in the state. And was always well in sports, period, just almost anything.
Okay, so
always average, should I say.
So all right, so that tells us a lot, right? Because you've always had a mindset of achieving at a high level, operating at a high level, functioning at a high level. So you were collegiate level wrestling, right? Or when you say Olympic?
Well, my father was.
Okay.
I came from with his genes, but I had scholarships. I turned them down.
Okay.
Back, yeah. Okay. I was burned out by the time I was 18.
but you had a pedigree and you wrestling run through your bloodline.
Correct. I had the opportunity. That was my best sport, but I took the art scholarship.
Okay. You went from a wrestler to an artist.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was doing them at the same time, and I got scholarships in that too. So I had options.
Okay. Hey, listen, ain't nothing wrong with options.
Right. And I didn't want to stand on the scale no more.
You wanted to be able to eat.
Right. Correct.
So you this is high school. You took the art. All right. Now you go through school. We're looking at this picture. You look like you were a motorcycle enthusiast.
Oh yeah. I love racing. I love riding and racing.
All right. So you used to race bikes.
Correct. At Route 66. Just like on, nothing too serious, but you had to go through inspection or whatever and have the right gear on and you race other like-minded individuals.
So is this where the trauma happens?
No, not. That's funny you asked that question. I was preparing to go do that when a colleague of mine came to ask me to show him some things. He had just got a motorcycle and he wanted some tips on riding. So we were supposed to just real quick. I didn't want to do it, but I promised him. So we were supposed to go down this street and come back, and then I was going to go, but I never made it back.
Now, when you say you didn't want to do it, explain that to me.
Meaning, it was bad timing, right? It was inconvenience of me because I was cleaning my bike, checking, going over everything, to make sure I'm straight. So when I get over to the track, I'll be good. And I was looking at my watch like, man, okay, but I promised him stop by if he catch me, I show him something. So he caught me. So I had to be inconvenienced, right?
So what happens now? You go and how did you have this accident?
I showed him an exercise I used to do when I was younger, and we did it. And then on the way back, I made a mistake that at the time I thought that I had made a way out of it, but I didn't. I mean, everything went good until the end. Like I said, I was looking back at him, the street curve. So now I'm on the wrong side of the street. I look up, a box truck is coming. So I split the truck, pushed my bike to the right. I slid through this empty parking lot. I wanted to slide through a park, but it was full of kids, and my bike is too, everything. I said, no, I can't do that. So I had to make all this in, probably
so
less than a second.
I don't want to cut you off, but in this split second, you going through options of take the bike through the field with the kids, split the truck, or Well, back then you had to, ride motorcycles, especially fast. You had to be able to think, split second thinking. Okay.
And all this went through my mind before I split this truck. And so I knew I was going to take a hit on the bike being damaged. But okay, that's fine. But then I had to slide through this empty parking lot. And like I said, everything went good until almost the end.
And what happened at the end?
I slid through the empty parking lot like playing, and I never seen the light pole with the concrete base. I never seen it. And let's say, like upon me sliding and turning, I bounced off of it from my hip, and it shattered almost everything on the right side of my body. Yeah, from my leg, my hip, my ribs, but the doctors say that was the best place to take the hit for survival.
So now,
like I said,
go ahead.
No, like I said, everything went well, and I just never seen the light pole.
You just never seen.
It.
So and this is, the focus is not so much as on the accident, how it happened, because unexpected things can happen to any of us at any given time, right? This is something that was unexpected, unplanned. You are an experienced cyclist. My son, he's a cyclist. He build, sell bikes, and and granted, he worries me because he's on a bike, and any parent is worried. But I do know that he takes the time to learn. He knows how to ride a bike. You know what I mean? And
Right.
when I see him, he seems like he does everything he needs to do to be safe on a bike. Helmet, he wear
Oh yeah.
leather coat, protective jackets and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then I also understand that anything can happen. Anybody. We just seen in the news right now. Just happened. A young lady got on the expressway driving the wrong direction and
Oh
hit a
yeah.
car. You hit that van and killed 5 children. You know, they were on the right side doing the right thing, and yet a car got
Right.
on the expressway going the wrong way. Some things happen that we just can't plan for. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So now you have trauma. Now you're in the hospital. Let's go through this. What are you thinking in this moment?
Um, I wasn't thinking. I went in and out of consciousness, and I was helicoptered out for where I live in southwest suburbs,
Okay.
and flown out to Loyola, and they put me in a induced coma, and I woke up like 34 days later.
Wow. So you were in a coma for 34 days.
Yes, sir.
And is this you coming out of it, or are you still in it at this point?
Actually, yeah, this is a different picture from me having. I done had multiple surgeries.
Okay.
I couldn't find none of the pictures at the time because my family said that I looked too bad,
Okay.
so
Okay.
nobody took pictures.
I got you. I
Yeah,
got you.
yeah,
But you
yeah. So I
you
just found that out today.
is that right?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
my mother, because she takes a lot of pictures, and she said she couldn't. She's because they had told them prepare for me not making it and all those kind of things, and so she didn't want no pictures of me like that.
Got you.
And they told me that I had swole up so big that I didn't look like myself, all that kind of thing.
And that makes sense, right? They want to remember you the way they remember you, and they didn't want to see
Yeah,
you at this point in your life. Uh, and so, and look at you now, you know. So,
yeah, yeah.
God,
Oh, I say, maybe we should have took the pictures, but back then, they wasn't. I don't know. Like I said, I always tell people my family went through. I think worse than I did, because like I said, I
absolutely,
was in the coma. So they went through all the surgeries and the doctors coming in and out and all those kind of things. And uh, I was just took a long nap.
right, right,
So I always, like I said, when I look at it from my family's point of view, I think they went, oh yeah, and too, I think that week they told me it was like 23, 27 motorcycle accidents, and like 3 of us survived. So you had to sit in there, and the doctors come where the family waiting room is, and the doctor go over and tell the families that their child didn't make it.
wow, wow,
So they sat through that. I didn't see that. I didn't experience that. They did.
right.
My mother
That's
and
right.
father.
That's right.
Yeah. So I think they took it a little harder than I did.
Yeah, and that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Oh
I can understand that. I certainly can
yeah.
understand that.
Yeah.
Uh, when you came out of the coma, let's
Yes.
talk about that. What was going through your mind at that moment?
Just glad to be alive. Glad to be up. Um, couldn't talk. Had tubes and everything, feed tubes, all kind of tubes. But just like I said, glad to be alive. Not, I don't know, the strangest feeling. I guess because of medication, I didn't know. I knew I was injured, but I didn't know what happened. Like
To what
after,
extent?
like right, right, and it was crazy because my family they was all trying to figure out who was gonna tell me that I lost my leg. Because like I said, at this time, you gotta remember my leg. I was a barber. I stand up all day, right, working, and then I traveled as a tour. I was a touring musician. So I use my lymph to make money, and they didn't know how to tell me. So nobody did. So for the first, like, I think I might have went 2 days,
Really?
and then one day I was at the hospital, and some told me to look under the cover, and I looked, and my leg is gone.
So that's how you found out.
That's exactly how I found out. And I
And
called my mom crying.
okay, yeah, that's what.
Yeah,
So you find out, obviously, like anybody would be devastated that you lost a limb. You trying to process everything that your life the way it is now, and how do you continue to move forward? How do you
yes.
reconcile that?
I called, like I said, I called my mother, and I was upset, and I remember she told me, she said, "Well, you got 24 hours to figure it out." I was like, "What?" I looked, I said, "I called the wrong person." And she said, "You only get 24 hours." She said, "Now you got to figure this out. You got to figure it out." And like I said, I didn't want to hear that, but she was right, because try to stay positive, and make plans, make goals, and just move forward. Sometimes when stuff, once it happened, it's happened. So now I got to focus on just looking forward. And my mother, like I said, she helped me to do that.
So at this point, are you married? Or you have a family or no?
No, I was 26, no wife, no children.
Okay.
Shortly later, found out they said I would never have any children.
Wow. And you have
Yeah,
how many
yeah.
children, or do you have a child?
Well, yes, I have one. I have one.
And they said you would
Yeah.
never have one.
They said I would never have one. No,
See, doctors
no.
don't
But
always.
I always told the doctor. I told the doctors. I always tell people, a doctor can't cure and a doctor can't heal. But I told the doctor, God, gets the last say so. So
That's
I mean,
right.
I heard it, but I said, when the time comes, I mean, when that time of my life happens, we'll let God be God.
That's right.
So it
Well,
was in God's will for me to
I
have
tell you
one.
what, man of God, your faith worked for you. Your
Well,
faith worked for you.
yeah, yeah. I just believe that the Almighty God, and like I said, it was His will for me to have it, have a child. So be it. But
That's right.
I thank Him, for letting me have that. Just like recently, somebody, I always get questions about my amputation. A lady asked me, um, did I ever question God for me losing my leg? And I told her, I said, that's a great question, but I told her, when I asked him, he told me, why not me?
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. So my mama told me too. She said, I have three other brothers, so my mama had four boys, all under the age of two, whatever. We that close together,
Okay.
and she said, this gonna be a heavy, tough, days ahead. She said, but if I had to pick one child to carry it, it'd be you. And I looked at her and I was
Wow.
like, why
Wow.
me? And she just said, because I'm very stubborn, and I had to fight to get here. From the time I was born, I was premature, and she said I had to fight from day one. So she said I got more fight than the rest of them.
Oh wow.
So
That was a compliment in a way that don't sound like a compliment, but it really
no,
is.
right, but like I said, you hear from your mother. Like I said, I had a very tough mother, little woman, but very tough. Like I say,
Well,
she
that,
had to
that
wait
speaks a
for
lot of
me.
your character, being tough. It,
Yeah,
you know, it,
yes,
it
sir.
comes from somewhere.
Right.
So now let's talk about how we get into you go through uh your surgeries, you back out functioning, and somehow miraculously you become this phenomenal cyclist. How does this happen?
Therapy. It was my form of therapy. I used to ride road. I started riding road bikes in the late '90s, probably about '97, and actually I was on just therapy and just doing it because it helped me. And I didn't realize till later on that it helped me more than I actually realized. So I tell people like, now I feel like I have to do it.
So you started out cycling as a way of rehab.
Exactly.
Not with the real intention of becoming like a cyclist, but just to kind of rehab and get muscles working again, build and strengthen muscles. But somehow you found a love and a passion for cycling and took it on, not just as therapy, but as a hobby.
Correct. And like I said, then I'm very, I like goals. You know, like you say, you go somewhere, you see like, okay, who the best rider? And you see who the best guys is. And I like challenges. So my job always was to try to stay with the best guys. And, doing that, it took years, but eventually I got to the point where I didn't get dropped no more.
I want to bring up this picture. I want you to share with me. So let's talk about this picture. This is your first setup. This is a first generation because I rode with you recently. You have a different bike. You have sort of a different way of utilizing how I don't know what you call what you put your leg. Is there a name for it other than apparatus?
We call them rocket sockets.
Okay, so you've had this socket on this particular setup here. Is this when you first started getting into cycling, or you started taking it more serious? Because you look serious. You look like you about to race.
Yeah. This is when I was in like the feeder team of the Paralympic team.
Okay.
That's how I ended up with the prosthetic because one of the coaches had heard something about a guy had one in another country and thought maybe, I should look into it. So I ended up with this prosthetist in UIC that he ended up designing. I told him about it. He had never made one, never heard of it, but he ended up coming up with this first, like you said, apparatus. Like 2009. That was my first setup with a prosthetic.
Oh wow, yeah. Wow! And so you did some cycling with is it Paralympics? You say?
Yeah, I went through like the ranks to try to make the A level team, but let's say I was too old. I felt back then I didn't want to. I couldn't commit. I had a lot going on at the time.
Okay.
And like I said, I wish it would have happened a few years earlier, but just had too much going on. But
the fact that you got to that level, I mean, that's impressive. I mean, we're not talking about, it's different if someone had cycling as part of their pedigree and then they had trauma like yours, and then they found a way to continue to cycle because you've already built certain core muscles, and even though you lost a leg, you still have a skill set that you don't lose. You just now have to learn how to cycle with one leg versus two. But you, on the other hand, are going from a complete novice, not cycling, to cycling and even being able to cycle at such a high level in a short period of time with minimum training. So this is all effort, all desire, all ambition to just not be marginalized.
Yes, just trying to be the best me. But like I said, I sometimes wish I would have had like I said, timing was better. But we all know how things work out sometimes.
Yeah. Timing can be crucial. So we moving forward. Go ahead. What you gonna say?
I said, timing is everything. I always say timing is everything.
We moving forward. Recently, you and I had an opportunity to ride together. It was phenomenal. I enjoyed it so much. I was truly impressed by I was impressed by your cycling and your ability to cycle. We got pictures here by our own CCC photographer, John Michael, who did a phenomenal job, and I thought caught some phenomenal pictures of you cycling. This is your new setup, and you have a new socket, and you use an oval black chain, a crankset. And why do you use the oval black versus a traditional crankset? This is just for you out there that may be looking to get into cycling. Just on the technical side, what makes this crank better for you?
It gives me a little bit more leverage.
Okay.
When you looking at your cycle, your rotation, it just more leverage, and then make you focus more on pulling with your hamstring.
Okay.
So
if someone is in a situation like yours, this would be what you would advise them.
I'm working with a guy right now. I just met maybe about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And he just got his last week. So he like I said, I'm working with him with that and like his cadence and how to use it. So hopefully, like I said, it worked out well.
So let's talk about that cadence. How important is that to your cycling? And I want to dig into this a little bit. I know we don't have a whole lot of time left, but for my cycling community out there, we talking about that ride alone. We probably I think that was 19, 20 mile an hour average. I don't remember how many miles we did on that ride. But it had to be over how many?
It was close to like 35, 40 miles.
Okay. So we 35, 40 miles, and we are 19, 20-ish mile an hour. There's a lot of people that inspire to ride 40 miles at 19, 20 miles an hour. If you had to give, what is it that allows you, outside of just being extremely strong and having incredible willpower, what's some of the things that you contribute to being able to ride at that speed? Is it the fitness? If so, how do you achieve that fitness? Is it you've learned to have a higher cadence, or you generate more power with one leg? And I mean, if you had to just nail it down to a few things, what would you say?
Well, first, I always tell people, learning what's drivetrain works for you. Because my theory is like, mostly in America, we had two bike brands, SRAM or Shimano.
Okay.
Every bike, listen, 95% of bikes we see gonna have one of those two.
That's right.
And I tell people, people get caught up in looking at like what the pros got, and you have to get your setup for however your body is. If you're not a power rider, if you're a smaller guy, maybe instead of getting the 53, you get the 50.
That's
and it's
right.
okay to have the 50. And that's what I use. I had to learn that I can't look at other people's setup. I had to come up with my own setup. And it came from, I had a teammate that used to beat me back when I used to train at the Olympic Training Center. And one day I went through his bike with I counted every spoke on every ring, on every chain ring on his bike. And that was the beginning. He had the oval before I did. That's why I learned, my whole setup pretty much came from him.
Okay.
And then, then once I got it, because he would beat me by hundredths of a second, we talking about.
Okay.
And after that,
So
it didn't happen.
So basically, your advice would be, because a lot of times, and it's true, right? We get caught up on what we see other people do. Even with cadence, we talk about cadence, and they say, well, you need to have a 90 RPM cadence. And I don't believe that. I believe
right. That's the pros.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, that's a pro.
Right.
Like I said, I'm happy with 80. Like I said, when we train, do I try to reach 90 for some goals? Yes. Have I ever got at 90 average? No. But is it a goal? Yes,
Right.
yes. I tried to go in a smaller chain ring in the rear and try to spin my heart out, But I have yet to get the 90 average.
Okay.
Just like you say before, I couldn't average 20 miles an hour on a ride,
Right.
but you keep adding, you set your goals, and because I mean, even guys, I couldn't. It took me 3-4 years to beat a lot of guys, and I just felt like being consistent and just like in the off season, working my butt off. And for me, off season ain't so much bike ride; it's more so full body. I always tell people I believe in full body, your core
That's right.
plan. Especially as you get older, and the make sure the stretching and the massaging, like it's a whole lot more go with it. Just than just spinning on your bike or just riding all the time. But
We are alike in that way because I train in our group, and I have an influence in even people I don't train, and what I try to share with them is your body has to have a time to heal. As we get older, now, don't get me wrong, there are people that cycle hard all year round, and that may work for them, but that's not the average person. Your
correct.
body has to heal, and also you have to also realize that when we're cycling, as hard as we're cycling, we're also neglecting something else. Something is being neglected because we spend so much focused time cycling. So you're building cycling muscles, but if you look
Right.
at perfect example, take a pro cyclist and you look at the frame of a pro cyclist, he probably can't even lift a chair over his head. You know what I mean? But
Right.
he'll
Right.
drag you
Right.
down a road on a bike, but you try to get him to
Right.
lift a chair up over his head and he can't, because
Right. Right.
all he works on is cycling. So his other muscles and his core, all those things are suffering. So in the off season, I truly believe that you ought to have a more balanced plan toward overall fitness. You may not never become the greatest cyclist in the world, but I guess for me, I strive to be more fit overall than I do cycling being the best cyclist. I do want to be a great cyclist, for my age group anyway. Let me say that. For my age group, I want to be in that top 10% for my age group, but not at the
Correct.
expense of being unhealthy in other areas as well. Does that make
No,
sense to
no,
you?
no. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's exactly how I think. Because literally, probably about it was shortly after my daughter was born. Man, I couldn't walk up steps. Now you see me when I'm not wearing a prosthetic, I use crutches. So that's why, like, my upper body back. Even when I raced, they would say this blind guy asked what I looked like. This other guy told him, he said, "Hey, Beene built like a linebacker." And he said, "A linebacker?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "You should see him." so, 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 and even too, when I used to be at the Olympic Training Center, people would see me. They said, "What event do you do?" I said, "Cycling." They said, "You ain't no boxer?" I said, "No, no." But I tell my upper body, like I said, when I'm not on a bike, I'm using crutches majority of the time. So to use crutches, I use forearm crutches. You can have upper body strength.
That's right.
So I'm like you. I'm looking for overall because at once upon a time I couldn't walk upstairs. I literally couldn't walk upstairs. I used to ice my knee. I went to the doctors and they wanted to do more surgeries, and I'm not a huge fan of surgeries.
Okay.
And I always want to look for other ways. Try, And my wife would tell you, I spend like $300 on an ice pack so I could move around the house on crutches while the ice pack stay on without
Right.
falling off. And I had gained a lot. I had gained like I was probably about 50 pounds heavier, and I ended up getting back on my bike. I mean, I tried everything out. I got back on the bike. Everything, I dropped weight. My muscles around the leg got stronger, and everything. All my pain went away. Now, do I still have the same issues in my knee? Yes, but I tell people, but I don't have the pain because the muscles around it get picked up. And I mean, the bike is my surgery. That's why I tell people I need the bike more than I thought I did. But like you said, I'm going for overall fitness for my age group.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
like I
And that's
said,
important, man. Right? I'm
oh
not I'm
yeah,
not
oh
trying
yeah,
to compete with a 20-year-old. I ride.
nah,
Don't get me
right,
wrong. I do get on the field, and if a 20-year-old
right,
line up against me, I'm gonna give him all I got. I mean, you know,
yeah, right, right,
he
exactly,
gonna have to
exactly,
outright beat me. I'm not gonna hand it to
right.
him.
That's
However,
right.
from a fitness goal standpoint, I'm not trying to have the fitness of the 20. I just want to be the
Right.
best me I can be for my age group. And I know that it's important that overall fitness is addressed because as we get older, man, we have more aches. You know, the bike make you strong, but the bike create aches too. You know, so
Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah. That's right. Just like one of the biggest things I learned from the coaches and trainers when I was, like say, training with the Paralympic team was that one of the coaches, his biggest thing was that most athletes overtrain.
yep,
And he said, tell you all the time. He said, man, he said, you don't have to do a lot of stuff that people think. It's just what they have programmed in their mind that they have to do. And he said, no, you don't have to do it. But he said, most of the time, he said, that's probably the biggest problem. He said, one of the biggest problems in America is overtraining.
yep,
So that's one of the things that, like I said, I'm trying to be on the bike at 80, you know what I'm saying, with
that's
one
right.
leg. And like I say, be healthy enough to be around for my children and whatnot. And I'm good. Like I said, that's the goal. So I ride. I don't ride a ton, but I get enough miles, and I know where my body is. That's the other thing I tell people when you do cycle. Um, you know you'll find out where your body is. You know how much water you need, how much carbs you need. Like when you challenging yourself in all those areas, you learn yourself when you out there and you by yourself on the road, no friends, no buddies, just you by yourself. That's when you get all the answers for your body and then listen to your body and act accordingly.
That's
And
right.
I tell them, you know, that's what makes it such a great sport,
That's
you
right.
know. So
That's right. Well, you know,
yeah,
I know we all can do a better job. I know if you let my wife tell it, I certainly could do a better job listening to my body. I came in. We gonna end it. I came in tonight from riding with a group that's most of these guys race or raced
right,
at one point, you know, or used to race.
right,
And a used to racer is still 3 times faster than the cycling enthusiast. You know
oh
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And so I get dropped. This is the second time I rode with him. The second time I got dropped. And so I get home, and my wife is like, "Well, what you doing home so early?" And I was like, "Well, you know, because it didn't take them long to drop me." So the ride was over for me a lot sooner than it was for everyone else. And she goes,
right,
"You know," I explained how hard it was to where I honestly felt like I was gonna fall out on this ride. I got dizzy, I was nauseous, and I hadn't been that way in a long time because I haven't had rides that pushed me to that degree. And so
right.
it's good for me. It's not comfortable. It doesn't feel good, but it's good
No,
to stretch yourself from time to time because that's where you get to see where you are. But to her
right,
point is, you know, her thing is like, what is it going to take? You know, like when does it end? When you finally get to ride with them, then what's next? You know, because we're always looking for that next. You know, that to me is the mindset of someone that is. I don't want to say we're never satisfied, but we're always looking for a challenge.
well, yes, competitive. That's what my wife. She say I'm competitive in like everything I do.
Right.
And I guess like so growing up with brothers, you know, everybody you always want to be first. But the good thing in cycling, like I said, a lot of times to reach your goals, it take years.
It does.
It take it like you said. I mean, like I said, I've been dropped many times, and it took 3 or 4 years minimum to get to the point where you don't get dropped.
That's right.
So you know you just constantly and you know it like you have to be patient. And I
That's
tell
right.
like But like you said, one day you're gonna reach your peak fitness, and I guess from then on there, you hold on. I don't know, because
Well, when we get there, we'll tell each other.
right.
All right, man of God. Listen, Greg, man, it has been a pleasure. Not only just it's a gift to know you, man of God. It's a pleasure talking to you, and I just wish you well with your journey as you continue on. Your family, you got a daughter or a son?
Daughter.
A daughter. As she look up to you as a father, and just to be proud of who you are as a man, an inspiration. And I love the fact that what you said, you're working with another young man that has fallen into a similar trauma, and inspiring him to move forward. And I'm assuming that he has found also a passion for cycling, or
Yeah,
at
yeah. Let
least,
me say that. Oh, yeah. Let me say this real quick. Yeah, because his story is pretty interesting. He 2020 COVID, right?
yeah.
Everybody lockdown. He goes out to ride his bike 100 miles by himself. He gets hit by a truck,
Oh,
loses his leg.
wow,
So
wow, wow, wow.
he just got back on this year.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, this year. And so one of the guys on the Olympic training on the Paralympic team got in touch with me, and then one of my buddies that lived down there that moved down there recently got in touch. So I had two people within like 2 weeks tell me about this same guy, which I
Wow.
thought would be kind of strange. But yeah, when he told me his story and whatnot, and he said, uh, um, they just kept telling him he had to meet me. So I'm working with him and trying to answer all the questions that he have and try to give him everything that I know, and help him reach his goals. Cause so his goals, he said he want to be able to ride like how we do.
That's
So I
right.
told him I give him everything that I know.
That's
So I
right.
tell him all these things that I wish somebody gave me, I give him nothing back. So
Right.
like I said, the first thing I said, you got to get the oval, man. And I think it's the best game. So of course I said, hey, try that 50. If you're stronger than that, you can always change. But let's start off with the 50.
That's right.
You know.
And
So
that's, and we did talk a little bit about that, but the optimal, it's finding what works for you and not what you see others. It's what will allow
correct,
you to be efficient. Just like with cadence.
right,
You have to
right,
find the cadence that allows that your body, because your body has a natural cadence. And
correct,
you will find it. Now you can optimize that, but to try to do
right,
something your body is not designed or even capable of doing, I tell people all the time, you can't become fast twitch if you're slow twitch. You're fast
right,
twitch or you're slow twitch. It is what it
right,
is. It doesn't change.
right,
You can become
right,
good at being a slow twitch, but you can't become a fast
right,
twitch. No more than a
right.
fast twitch can become slow twitch. So when you
Yes,
understand that our body has a certain mechanical function, it works a certain way. We're designed uniquely and different. And this is God's design, right? And when
right,
you tap into your design and you understand how your body functions, you start
right,
building the mechanical parts around it that allow you to be efficient. And I'm talking about even on the bike. So if I did the same thing, I had a 5034 on one of my bikes. And then because I got dropped with a group, I went and got a
right,
52
right,
and left the compact and went and got semi-compact, and I got
right,
slower because I
right.
couldn't push the gears. But it
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
that I
yeah,
couldn't get stronger to push the gear. The 34, it was natural. It was a natural fit. So now that I got this 12 speed, and this 12
right.
speed is it's what is it, the 46 or the 48.
Yeah, smaller. Yeah, it's smaller. I know.
Right, but
Yeah,
it's equivalent to the 50, the compact on Shimano.
right,
It gets me back into my natural rhythm of how I ride. it's just so much
Right.
easier for me to ride at a higher level than trying to push that oversized crank just to, because I'm looking at these guys with these monster legs that's pushing these big cranks. And I'm thinking that crank will make me go faster, but it did just the opposite. It made me slower.
Right.
And
Right.
so
Right.
I think that's so important that you find out what works for your body and how you're designed. And then from there, you optimize that and become the best you can become. And when you become the best you can become, be happy with that, right? Be content.
Yeah. Well, who else you gonna be? Can't be nobody else.
That's it. So thank you,
Yeah.
man of God, man. Listen, I thank you again for, man, just being yourself. Thank you for being on our podcast, All Things Fitness. And I know we're going to talk again. We're going to ride. Hopefully I see you this Saturday on our dash ride.
Okay.
And we're going to talk. All right.
Okay. All right.
All right, hold
Thanks
on.
for having me.
Hey, listen, this is, again, the boy Cross, a.k.a. Cross Christian Cyclist. And in my closing, I just want to say, we're going to have things happen to us in life. There's no script. There's no plan. There's nothing written out from the time that we're born that tells us that we're going to go through life unscathed, that we're going to go through life without surprises. There's always a surprise around the corner. There's potential trauma. There's potential incidents and accidents that could happen. We hope they don't, but they could happen. But what we can control is how we deal with the things that come upon us in life. We can't control the mental state. We can't control how we get back up after falling back down. We can't control how we go through our trauma. We can control. I'm not telling you that we won't have moments and just like Beene say, where you have that confusion and you pondering and you wondering, okay, I knew my life a certain way and now I have to envision my life a different way. But the one thing you also, if you are a believer, then you also must believe that God would never put more on you than you can handle. As Beene mother told him, you were equipped. If there was any of my children that I would have had this to go through, it would have been you. Why? Because you was equipped for it. You were equipped from the mother's womb. She knew that if there had to be something like this to happen. So if trauma was something that was guaranteed, I would have picked you. And she was right in line with God because God picked him. And he even said, God chose me. So I think when we go through things in life, we have to readjust our minds. There's no sense blaming God for it. That ain't going to get you anywhere. There's no sense even living your life out being sorrowful. That won't get you through it. Somehow you have to dig into that inner you, that deeper you. You have to find purpose. And you have to know that what you've just gone through is and can be an inspiration, and it can be a benefit for someone else that potentially is going to go through the same thing. You can become now an example. You can become now the surviving story. You have the opportunity to become great at something that many will never go through. But you survived it, and you didn't just survive it. You came through it, and you came through it with a positive mindset, and you're doing positive things in life. So I pray each and every one of you all that hear this, your trauma may not have been his trauma where you lose a limb or shatter half of your body. Your trauma may be unique to you, but nevertheless, it is trauma. Nevertheless, it is something that could set you back. I pray that from this podcast, you've just heard how to pick your life up and not just be average. Be exceptional. Just be exceptional. Why not? Shoot for being exceptional. Don't settle for just being average. Be exceptional. God, I believe that it's in each and every one of you. And I believe God designed each one of us to be exceptional in our own way. So as I leave and I close on an All Things Fitness podcast, I'm asking you, Philippians 4:13, we can do all things in Christ who strengthen us. Let's be exceptional in Jesus' name. Until next time, I'll see you again.